Hey everybody, welcome to the first episode of Outstanding Achievement in the Field of Excellence. I'm your host, James Windsor-Smith. Today we're going to start off by giving shout-outs to members of our group. A lot of them are actually very accomplished, and you'll be very interested to see what they work on. In fact, the very first thing we're going to look at is Brian Payne's magazine-esque, newspaper-esque production of the Zinc comic section. Now this thing is huge. Let me back up the camera a bit so you can see. Can you think that out there? This thing is enormous. It's really brilliant. You can really play with size. And it looks fairly affordable. Brian, if you want to answer in the comments, did this actually cost a great deal to publish? It's on a news stock paper, it seems, or at least something close to it. And this is pretty interesting. I highly recommend checking out Brian's work. He's really hard on his inking, but if you really look at it, I think he's hard with no reason. He really does a great job. And we're actually going to use this as a backdrop because we don't want to look at my legs. This is a glass table. So let's check out what else we have. Scream Queen by Joche Anderson. All right, now let's take a look at this. I actually read his Milestone series, Wise Son, last year, and I really was blown away by the amoral actions of the lead character. It seemed rather unapologetic, and like every time the main character would do something amoral, I would get like a knot in my gut thinking about like he's making the wrong choices. And that seems to be something that he has done in his work quite a bit. A Scream Queen is actually, I think, part 2. Is this part 2? I think so. So there's 3 parts, so check that out. Alright. Next is an old issue of previews. Now, why is there an old issue of previews here? Because it's actually my first published work. Let me turn the pages here. I had done fan art of Glamourpuss. Let me see if you can find this here. There it is. You see it there? It's really small. There you go. I actually used to be friends with this girl as well. She was one of my friends when DeviantArt didn't suck. So shout out to me. I'm pretty wonderful. Alright, next we have The Collected Straw Man. Let's take a look at this. This is David Brandstetter, who really made a mark in the indie scene in the early 2000s, up to around 2010, 2011, somewhere around there is when he has stopped publishing that book for now. I believe there's at least one more chapter to go. Like, look at that layout. Who would think to do something like that? That's just crazy and beautiful. It's just great stuff. I've actually met David once. He seems like a really nice guy. He taught me a lot along the way. He even taught me like how to use a ruler of all things. That's a long story, but yeah, I'll tell that sometime. That's pretty funny. But yeah, if you can give that a check out there, it's really cool. It's a good book worth having, and I'll put a link below to check it out. Okay. Next is Jeremy Baum's Foolish. Now, this is another one of my favorite artists. I'm not even sure if Jeremy is in the group, but we do get along pretty well. I haven't heard from him for a while. but I'm going to give him a shout out anyway. So I've done videos of his work in the past. It's just gorgeous and surreal, and the way he draws women with the buck teeth. Let's see. Let's pull this down here. There we go. It's just something natural and beautiful about it. Yeah, I think I have another book with this as the cover. Just great stuff. He's actually published by Fantagraphics as well. One of my friends, Joche, actually checked it out, and he was pretty impressed by the ride. I mean, look at that. It's just really cool. All right, we're covering up more of the zinc. So that must be about it, right? Wrong. The Comics Journal. What's that doing here? Well, technically, Gary Goff is a member of the Outstanding Achievement in the Field of Excellence group. I don't know if he accidentally hit accept. I don't know if he just doesn't check his Facebook, but he is technically a member. So I'm going to give him a shout out here. Here is the last issue of the Comics Journal. I actually have read Joche Anderson and Howard Chaykin, and I've also read the interview with David Mazzucchelli and Dash Shaw. I just had to have it because I really like this cover, and I really thought this was really a milestone issue. Next, we have Steve Lafler's Bughouse. The Bughouse is one of my favorite series of all time. I have read this book like dozens of times, well, maybe a dozen times, really. It's one of my favorite books. I love the artwork. I learned a lot from how he puts the white on black. I was just blown away when I was younger. I was like, how does he do that? And obviously he uses white ink, but I didn't know that at the time. I just thought he was a really skilled artist. But this story has a lot of heart. It's really beautiful. One of the characters, like spoiler alert, does pass away at a certain point, and it's really a touching flash to the future, showing the main characters as much older in their life, like thinking back on what his impact was. It's really good. It's almost, well, it is a linear story, but it's not a traditional story. And I have not just one, but 2 copies of Bughouse, because I can't resist like buying new copies of this whenever I can. I think he released it a couple of years ago on one of those websites like Lulu or something. I think I got that right. But I just ordered it knowing I was going to love it again. Okay, one last book by Steve Lafler, Scalawag. This is actually the 3rd part in the Bughouse trilogy. He has grown artistically and really progressed as an artist, in my opinion. And this stuff is really cool. It's worth reading because it's called Scalawag because this guy is a dirtbag, but seems okay at first. And it's really interesting. I'm missing the 2nd part, which is Baja, but I also like that one and I highly recommend it as well. It's not part of my collection right now, but I guarantee you it will be. Oh, I actually do have one more book by Steve rather. This is Luha Bruja. He lives in Mexico right now. Here, let me push these to the side so I'm not so close to the camera. He lives in Mexico right now, and these stories are based on like a lot of Mexicana, a lot of Mexican folklore. They're really cool, and the characters are human, so if you can't get past the bug thing, give that a shot. Okay. All right, next we have Mark Darden's Guano Guy. This is a really cool book. I'm on the cover of the 3rd issue, but they only have 1 and 2 on the floor I'm on. So let's take a look at what we have here. This has really sharp art. It's really unexpected. I really like the coloring as well. It's just far out. It's way above like where it should be. This should be like not necessarily Marvel or not necessarily DC, but definitely an Image or something like that. This is just great. Once again, highly recommended. Check out that back cover there. It's just an awesome series. I'm really enjoying it a lot. It's very surreal and funny and witty. A very, very witty series. All right, next. Hold on a second. Let me grab some books here. Next, we have Margaret Liss. Margaret has been publishing the Cerebus Newsletter for the past few years, and this book is better than it should be. I really recommend reading this. If you are a fan of Dave Sim, I believe that like her issues are all still in print through her website. Check out her website. It's cerebusfangirl.com. I'll put a link once again below. And one other thing that's worth checking out is this issue, which is me doing the cover. And since I'm so wonderful, you really want to check out what me and David Brandstetter did together on this cover. You remember David? He did Strawman. But yeah, it's really great, and check it out. The articles are really refreshingly really cool, as well as the fan art. Okay, next is not a book. It's just some original art from Steve Peters. I do have several of Steve's books, but they're in deep storage. I don't own any sort of collections. I'm not even sure if there are collections. I'm going to have to check out Steve's site after I make this video. But he's really great. Like, he's like very good at basically at his line work. I've complimented him on his cross hatching, which you can't see here, but it's not a good example of that. But this is really awesome, and I love him on Awakening Comics, and I love Comic Verse, and I can't recommend it highly enough. So check this out. Okay. Second to last, we have Mark Wheatley on Breathtaker. Now this series, I basically picked up, and I just had to have it. I love the cover, and I love the art style, and I love the pink. But as you can see, it's still in a bag, and it's going to remain there, so I can't fully flip through this right here. But I highly recommend this book. I believe they're working on another copy of this with like edited art and more updated material. However, due to COVID-19, we're going to wait on that a bit. But once again, check out what he has available. I'll put the link at the bottom of his website. And really, just wait patiently. I promise you, eventually you'll have this in your hands. All right, let's end this where we began, with Brian Payne. Here is Warlock Hotel, one of his mini comics. Part 1 of 2, it says. Just really check this out. He's really is too hard on his inks. I think he does a great job. Everything is really clear, and it's very surreal and funny at the same time. He's got a wit like no one else. And here's a back cover by Ron Graville. Here's his email address. Let me get down here. There you go. I don't know if he even still uses... It's not his email address, his website address. I don't know if he even still uses that, but I'll give it a shot. Here's another Brian issue. I have it backwards, sorry. There you go. And this is another issue of Jake Wilde. Only from Zinc Comics. Here we go. Nice and simple storytelling. He doesn't have to show off, the way that some of us do. And you can actually see a bit of Sky. Skywalker is his wife. You can see that the character is at least modeled on her. But yeah, check this series out. It's really great. Okay, I think that's everything I have, but that's quite a lot of collection of cool members of the group. Like, a lot of these people have really impacted my life and my art. And I just want to say, like, you wouldn't be members of the group if I wasn't a fan and I didn't admire you as a person. I appreciate everything you do and all of your upcoming work. And if there's anything that you want to shout out, feel free to use the comments below. All right. Thanks for everything, and we'll see you next time on the Outstanding Achievement in the Field of Excellence.